Allegiance, and we have our flag right up here. So, pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, nice to see a full house. Hopefully everybody had a good tour of the school, and it's nice to see all the work that they have done here. Mr. Brand, please note we're all present, and then we'll jump right into the recognition. So we'll start off, we're in East. We may as well start off with Mr. Wickman for East.
I think we're on. All right, so I get to introduce you to Allison Wolchuk, right?
No, it's white.
Wolchuk. All right, I got to get that right. You know, I always tell her when I went through elementary school, one of my friends, her name was Beth Whitechuk, so I always mix it up when I get going. All right, so Allison here is our first citizen of the month. The first citizen of the month, I always have our gym, phy ed music teacher meet. They know all the students, so they get to choose from every student in the entire school. So I always think this is one of the coolest ones to get nominated for, because it's not just your classroom teacher choosing from just 5th grade, it's every kid in the school. And so you were chosen out of every kid in the school this time. So that's a pretty good kind of accomplishment. And this is what they wrote. Oh, before I read, why don't you introduce who is here with you tonight, Allison?
My mom and my dad.
Right. Thank you for coming. There's mom and dad raising you. All right. So the Related Arts team at East Elementary nominates 5th grader Allison for Citizen of the Month. Allie consistently demonstrates exceptional character and leadership year in and year out at East. She is an active member of her school, not only as a wonderful student, but also as a junior coach. And that a junior coach's help at recess, where she is patient and a positive mentor to younger students. She is also part of a safety patrol, which shows her dedication to the well-being of the school. Allie's hard work and participation in all of her specials, art, music, PE, and guidance, combined with her strong academic performance and her extracurriculars, proves her ability to manage multiple commitments with excellence. Since kindergarten, Allie has been a friendly and optimistic role model at East Elementary, treating her peers and teachers with respect and kindness. Her wonderful nature has a positive impact throughout the school community. We are lucky to have Allie at school and be part of an East Sun. And Allie and I talked earlier. I asked her what her favorite subject was, and it is gym, isn't it? And so it's just perfect that they chose her. All right, Allie, great job.
Next up for West, we have Mr. Howard.
All right, good evening, everybody. Really proud of this young lady. We have Raylan Weidman from 5th grade at West to represent us for our first Citizen of the Month. Raylan, I'm going to have you introduce your family.
I have my mom, my dad, and my little sister.
All right. And board real quick, Jessica, mom is a special ed parent at West, does an amazing job. So it's also kind of neat to just get to say that quickly. We start with 5th grade, and Mr. Siegert picked Raylan. I was really excited about that choice. And here's what he had to say. Raylan's a great student here at West. Raylan always does what is expected and more. She's kind, she's caring, and she's a type of student that's a great friend to everyone she meets. She is a part of our junior coach program that helps our younger students at recess. She's a great leader among her peers, and I'm proud to say that she is in my class. And that's from Mr. Siegert. Raylan, congratulations on Citizen of the Month.
Next up for Sullivan, we have Mrs. Krause.
Good evening, everyone. I am excited to introduce to you Henry Reimenschneider. Henry is a 5th grader at Sullivan. And Henry, who's here with you tonight?
My mom and my sister Lottie.
Thanks for coming tonight. So Henry is such a great kid. As you know, I've been in this district for a very long time, and so I always have, well, not always, but I have a lot of personal stories. And I remember Henry when he was very little and in a stroller and would come down to the Rome Sullivan baseball and be in the concession stand as we would be working the concessions. So it's always fun just to see them as they grow and continue to have the leadership. So Henry was nominated by his teacher, Mrs. Kramers, and Mrs. Kramers had to say that Henry exhibits all aspects of Citizen of the Month. He shows respect to everyone around him, and he takes on leadership roles. This is his second year being selected for a junior coach, where he is a role model for younger students and teaches them problem-solving skills. Henry, you do an amazing job. I can't wait to see what you will accomplish in the future. Congratulations, Henry.
Mr. Madison with the middle school.
Right, Jeremy? All right. So it's my pleasure here to introduce Jeremy Miguel Serrano. He is a sixth grader at the middle school. So we actually kind of do it the opposite of some of the elementary schools. We actually start with our new students, which can be a challenge sometimes, but I can honestly say that our sixth grade team very enthusiastically nominated Jeremy for this award. So Jeremy, before I get into saying some nice things, who is with you here tonight?
My mom, my dad, and my siblings.
Welcome. Thank you for being here. All right. So, Jeremy, the sixth grade team had the following to say. We're very pleased to nominate Jeremy Miguel Serrano. He is a remarkable student we have had the pleasure of teaching this year at JMS. Throughout this time, we have come to know him as an exceptional individual who embodies the qualities of a caring and respectful student. Jeremy consistently demonstrates a strong sense of independence in his studies. He approaches his work with an optimistic attitude that not only uplifts his spirit, but also positively influences his peers. We have witnessed his ability to work collaboratively with his classmates on numerous projects, where his respectful nature and willingness to learn to listen to others always shines through. This ability to connect with his peers makes him a valued member of any group. Academically, Jeremy is incredibly studious. He approaches his studies with a diligence that is commendable, often going above and beyond the requirements of his assignments. His commitment to learning is evident, and he inspires those around him to strive for excellence. In summary, we wholeheartedly recommend Jeremy for Citizen of the Month for sixth grade. His caring demeanor, respect for others, independence, optimistic attitude, and strong academic performance surely make him an asset to JMS. We are confident that he will continue to thrive and contribute positively in his future endeavors. So, and Jeremy, I believe you are actually an East son as well, too. So I know Mr. Wickman asked you this question when you were here. I'm going to ask you in middle school, do you have a favorite part of middle school so far?
Is all my classes.
All right, and I think you mentioned one in particular before.
Yeah, social studies.
Okay, very good. So please join me in congratulating Jeremy as our Citizen of the Month.
And then Mr. Scretta for the high school.
Good evening. Thank you. Jefferson High School Citizen of the Month is Adam Nobling. I'll have Adam introduce himself, family, and also as a senior, his future plans for next year. He's already got that somewhat figured out, so happy to share that too.
Well, my name is Adam. Both my brothers are here. My dad is here. My mom is here. And my grandma's here. And currently, as of right now, I plan on attending UW Whitewater next year to major in accounting.
All right. Thank you, Adam, and good to see a Nobling family as well. So Adam was nominated by Mr. Ellinghausen, Mr. Buchholz, and others, and they had to say Adam's taken on several leadership roles over the last year, including team leader in esports. Additionally, he's a JHS delegate at Badger Boys State this last summer at UW Eau Claire. He's taken on new challenges by being a student manager for the girls basketball program, where he kept stats for both JV and varsity games, and he's also a manager for the girls tennis team as a senior. Adam's always a pleasure to have in class because he's upbeat, positive, and willing to contribute to classroom discussion to help his classmates and peers in any way possible. So happy to see those character traits continue all the way on back from your days as a Stinger. So happy to see Adam continue his career and excited for his year to come. Congratulations, Adam Nobling.
Thank you.
All right. Now we need a group photo of all the Citizens of the Month. If you could come on over here, Ms. Schmidt's going to get the photo. It's all the Citizens of the Month. While they're working on that, the next part is going to be public comment. We always appreciate any comments from the public. Is there anybody here for that? Guess not. Hmm? Oh, okay. All right. So if you want to stick around for the rest of the meeting, you are welcome to. If you need to get going, now's a great opportunity. Again, thank you everyone for coming out and seeing the revamped elementary school and all the hard work that's been done here. Next item on the agenda is going to be our consent agenda. Luckily, well, no employments, no resignations. We do have the presentation of claims and accounts, and we have a list of donations on the consent agenda. Any of this could be separated out or taken as one whole. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Motion in the second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. And motion passes. I'm going to take a moment here to read in this list of donations. We have $1,097.69 in monetary donation from Culver's Johnson Creek to the JHS for the Thank You Farmers donation drive for Jefferson FFA. There's a $188 donation to Melissa Wolhov to JHS for the soccer plaques for seniors. Breeding services for 3 FFA goats from Lavender Hill Farms to JHS with a value of $600. There was a discount on the purchase of an animal trailer for the ag department from the Corral trailer sales to JHS for the value of $500. 140 checkbook registers were sent to the JMS social studies class from Premier Bank, the value of $140. We had tissue boxes from Jefferson County area retired educators to Sullivan with the value of $40. Legos and cleanup mat from Jenny Hughes to Sullivan with the value of $40. And the Gaga ball pit from the Girl Scouts troop 7926 and 7663 to the middle school. So in total this month, there was $5,605.69 in donations. And for the school year, $62,466.76. So that's some great support from the community there. So thank you to all of them. Next, we get into the reports. We have Mr. Graffin for our maintenance and projects report.
Good evening, everybody. Hey, just a couple of things when I start to kick this off here. Most of you know me and how I operate here, but a few things here. And our whole goal as a department and myself since I've been here is the safety and well-being and accountability that I want to bring to the district. And some of you may ask, why is that? Over this past summer, I had 3 community members come up to me, well, during the day, and they were kind of talking to me, and I said, can I help you? And they said, yeah. They said, I want to see where our tax dollars went. I said, okay. I said, do you have time for a tour? They said, sure. So showed them around and told them how we got there. And each and every one of them go to me, what are you going to do to take care of our buildings after this? I explained it to them, and they said, that's what I want to hear. So why I'm kind of bringing this up to you, I did a little fact checking. In 13-14, the maintenance budget was $48,890. And in 14-15, it was $89,014. So can you imagine running the buildings, 96 acres on that money? I'm thankful to you and the community for supporting us. So what I ask moving forward is, since we have a nice referendum, got these buildings done, is support my maintenance budget moving forward. So let's get some things started. So basically on my grounds, you guys had the report. If you guys got questions, you can interrupt me. And if you want to wait to the end, that would be great too. But basically for our grounds, our stadium, our practice soccer field, Fisher Field, we keep up with the aeration, the seeding and fertilizing. And with the aeration, it's for their compaction. Again, that's safety for our staff and students and athletes out there. And we are one of probably the front runners for the compaction testing still. I apologize, I don't have the report in front of me. I just got it here a couple days ago. But our board walkthrough, I'll show you where we are with the compaction testing for our field for our athletes. And our turf tank that we bought, I think you guys seen that when you came through, we call it the Turtle or the Little Buddy. And that turf tank actually has saved us some money because we don't have to have two people out there. And when I wanted to get it, Mr. Bant over here, he just always asked me, he goes, can you prove it? I said, sure, Mr. Bant. So dollar for dollar, I take it all out, what it is for the people out there. So basically what I leased this for is what we spend in the first initial thing for the painting. But how many people here were at any games, stadiums this year? Anybody? What do you guys think of the field? Did it look nice with the numbers and everything? It does a really nice job. Only one person has to run it. And we don't have to have two people out there with the other machines when we do numbers. So again, it's a win for us for labor and for saving the taxpayers' dollars. Next up is our buildings. So what have we been doing with that? Fire alarm testing, sprinklers, gas line testing, elevator testing, electrical testing. We did find a few leaks with the gas lines. Every single gas line here has been checked. We found some major leaks over at West and some at some of the other buildings, but those were all repaired. I'd like to thank Paxton Johnson. He was a custodian here at the C2. That guy painted every single gas line across all the roofs in the school. And he was out there all the time in the heat and the sun, but he did a great job. We got nice yellow gas lines out there and they all been leak checked. And also for preventive maintenance, we keep up with our roofs. We have quarterly inspections coming up here for stuff. We just got through with one here for the fall, and that is hired done. The roofers know what they're doing better than myself or our staff, and they did find quite a few small leaks. So it's important that we always get all the small leaks, extend the life of our roofs as well as much as possible. And then the other thing that we have here is preventive maintenance on all of our HVAC units. I don't know, does anybody remember when Dr. Ernest shared in July with some of the stuff we did over at middle school, some cost savings for some of the univents with some of our new staff we have here? And that is Jared Beauchamp. He has took the mechanical part very well. I got to show him one or two times and he gets it. And we had 25 units over there, I believe, for the univents and roughly between $1,000 to $2,000 per unit. Most all the motors were changed, the bearings were changed, significant savings for everybody, plus indoor air quality, the coils were cleaned. So he did a fantastic job. And then we move on over to the high school for some stuff. And the welding issues we had over there, those were actually, one was rebuilt, both of them, the exhaust. We have a lot better exhaust now. And there's a lot more airflow through there. And I did not get the air test yet, but when you turn it on, you can hear a lot more airflow through there. So it's doing well. The other thing we've been up to is just some small lighting repairs. We had some underground stuff going wrong in some of the parking lots. And some of the newer lighting we had, I will admit, we did have some problems, but it's what we call a bridge. So, Tim, you may know about this too. It's all Cat 5, Cat 6 cable. We had a bad port that went bad. We just had to isolate the port and find it and fix that. So that's what I got for that. And plus with all the coil cleaning and belt recovery for everything, we save roughly 20 to 30% in efficiency on those units. So it's a little bit of savings for that. Okay. Next up, we have some of our custodial staffing. So custodial staffing, what is my goal? To meet the district needs and quality while minimizing the budget impact. Not lately, but we've had a lot of turnover for everything. And with that, we need continuous training and skill assessment and productivity reviews for everybody. So it's always a constant challenge for everything. And basically, some of the results we have to adjust and assign different areas to everybody for each of their abilities and their time and their duty list. We did start a duty list for the C2s during the day, because if any one of the board members or the community comes up to me and said, Tim, what are your people doing during the day? And I could look at them and I could rightfully say, well, they should be working, but what are they doing? So we have a checkoff list for everything. So they have everything in there from cleaning windows to cleaning entryways to help out the night custodians. There's always something for them to do on their checkoff list. And I do that. I meet with my principals on my weekly rounding and we discuss that, how everybody's doing. So we have accountability for everybody. So the bottom, and also through that and our assessment of our square foot per person in our areas that we did, I was able to reduce one full-time cleaner at night at the high school for everything. but I think our buildings still look good for what we're doing over there. And so we actually could reduce one full-time position, which is some savings to the taxpayers' dollars. Next up, fleet vehicles. All our vehicles have safety inspections. Every year we kick it off because we're using them more and more for transportation. And it's important for the students and the people driving it that they're all checked out by a certified garage. So those have all been done. And through the capital project this year, we're able to add one new 9-passenger van. So I know Mr. Peterson will be happy about that. We picked that up, I think this coming Friday, we're going to pick that up. And one thing I'm a little bit passionate about here is this summer, we added what we call an E-gauge to every building here within our district. The high school has 3 of those gauges, and it's a real-time reading of the energy that's here. And basically there's some services that are out there that will do that. We're doing that ourselves in here and saving the district some money instead of having somebody else look at that. So as you say, Tim, what are you going to do with that? Well, that's a good question. So basically we have really what we call design days where it's really hot or really cold. You pay for a peak demand for everything. You're charged for that month for that highest peak that's hit over there for the energy usage. So my goal here now is basically get a good handle on everything in the baseline. So then we could start cutting some areas off, like say it's the auditorium, not many people are in there. We could take that set point and get that cut down a little bit. In the afternoon here at East Elementary, we can basically cut the chilled water set point, which is set at 44 degrees. We can maybe just raise that up to 46 or 48 and save some of that extra energy. Because sometimes, probably about 15 years ago or more, you were usually charged about 90% on your consumption of your electricity. Now you're charged on your peak demand. So that adds up. So you have a peak demand on there and then your peak usage, and sometimes that could almost equal up to your usage. So that's what's very important. We start getting a baseline on that. Basically 2 on here. After we're done with that, we're going to move on to the referendum. So with the referendum this year, we got done at the high school. I did a core and key. So the cores are what goes into all the locks. And I did that for added safety. Basically some of the old cores that we had there, what we call a keyway in there, some of those keyways could be copied someplace else. And we do care about our security for our students and our staff. So we went to a whole different system for everything. The high school is the first one to be upgraded, and that is completed now. And eventually down the road here, I will be getting all the other entryways here to the school. So everybody has to come in through a fob again, which is for security for the students and staff. And also, you guys know what happened over at West Elementary last February. So everything inside the univents, all new piping for those have been done upstairs for everything. The univents are installed. The basement is going to be the next undertaking for everything. And I'll let kind of Mr. Bant kind of chime in here a little bit with the referendum dollars where we're at. So I'll let Ryan kind of co-help here. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, good evening. Just want to echo first and foremost what Mr. Graffin had mentioned about the in-house nature of our maintenance and custodial staff department. I do think that, I know you wrote it in there, it sets them apart. It really does, coming from a district where a lot of that expertise and knowledge was something that we had to contract out. Having that and building that capacity in our people is really evident. So one thing around the future scope, Mr. Graffin was talking about that, the HVAC elements. So as a reminder, the context of the 22 referendum, all the things that we can see here was really a work of that facility advisory committee, identifying those key priorities under safety, security, HVAC. But in essence, right, with our footprint was never meant to cover all of it. Gratefully, we are still on time and under budget. Thankfully, can say on time, I think at this point. I'll knock on something as I go. But as you can imagine, right, as we are continuing to close out contracts with Findorf, any encumbered funds, even some of the furniture and things like that as Demco is finishing up, what we're anticipating is bringing back in January, still within under the confines of the original question, but gratefully some expanded work that we could do in the west basement. So key part of the HVAC system, which I won't pretend to understand all of the elements, is that piping system. And that is one of the next priority items that we had even in our April walkthrough that, as Mr. Graffin mentioned, after the leak in January, February, we realized was a high priority need. So what we will be doing is as we finalize these contracts, we're going to be bringing that back as an action item just because it's outside of the context of Findorf. They're not going to likely be running it. Mr. Graffin and his team, and we'll work through a bid process and go through that. But at that time, what we'll do is we'll I'll talk a little bit about our under levy. The board will have some opportunities and some decisions to say whether we want to utilize those funds for further projects or return them to help pay off some of the debt, so use some of those proceeds to pay off some of the debt that we have. So just wanted to keep you in the loop there. And as we're trying to land this Boeing on a runway, don't want to undershoot and don't want to overshoot. So just wanted to give you a brief update.
Thank you, Ryan. Any other questions of what I went through from anybody?
I did have one, sorry. The piping at West,
Yes.
is that what you showed? Is that internal wall piping where you found corrosion?
Yes, it is. But
Okay.
this is referring back to downstairs for stuff, Tom. We had some issues when we started going with all the cooling and it wasn't cooling properly. And basically, you may understand, I'm sure you will. Basically, we had a strainer on the hot side for the hot water side, since that's a single pipe system and it just switches back and forth with the control valve. It was so plugged up on the cooling side, we weren't getting hardly any cooling. And I had Hooper come back and change that a couple times because I expected them to flush that and to take care of it. So they had to come back a couple times and do a kind of circumventional flush in there, which it worked, but we need to get something else in there. And then once we did that, we had problems with some of the pumps down there and the strainers, and all those pumps and strainers were totally plugged up too with everything. And what I'm looking at for is some redundancy down there. We all know the winters we have and the extreme things right now. We lose one pump down there, we lose the risk of freezing everything up. So I just asked for some redundancies and to actually take care of some other efficiencies for the boilers, because we only have one pump running it. Each boiler actually should have a single pump for each boiler for there, so we can circulate the water through the building at a quicker rate through the cubic volume, which we don't have. So that's a few things we're going to do and improve everything. So West Elementary will be good for many years to come. Yep, it's purely working the basement. We have some valves up above, some old gate valves, Tom, and the board. They don't function properly. And if anything, God forbid, anything did happen, we need to be able to shut that system down. So since we're in there doing it and the system's drained down, now's the time to put in some new valves in there. The piping that is upstairs in the hallways and everything, that will stay intact. That is not that bad, but everything downstairs, reading from the pump room down there where the boilers are and the pumps to the air handling units down there, all that will be replaced. But if we are keeping a single pipe system, we cannot afford a four pipe system like we did over here at East Elementary.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Mine kind of piggybacks. I have a couple questions because I don't really always understand some of the mechanical stuff. When you're describing this stuff, it sounds like it impacts heating and cooling, this repiping at West. And in the notes, it says this is going to get addressed during the summer.
Correct.
Is there a huge concern? We're approaching winter in Wisconsin.
No, we should be good at everything through here now for everything, because we have to totally disassemble that pipe and it's all gonna be rewelded or repressed in there for everything, Ms. Winkman. We'll be fine through this winter for everything.
Okay.
We'll make sure if there's some more strainers that are plugged, either we'll take care of it ourselves as a team, or I'll have Hooper come back and help with that. But I monitor that pretty quick. You guys know that, because when that happened, every day I'm up around 4:30, I check my computer. And like I said, when I see something all in red on my computer, Mr. Graffin gets a little bit nervous. So
Yeah, and I guess that's why I was like, when Ryan just said it's all in the basement that you
Yeah.
have to fix, is it that it's going to make a lot of noise, that it can't get worked on sooner and it
yes,
has to
plus
wait
we
till the
need that to
summer?
be functional right now so we can have heat during the winter, because there's only a single pipe
Got it.
system.
Okay, so we'd have to
basically
turn the heat off in order to
the heat
fix
and
this.
AC, there'll be no AC over there again. Well, some temporary units over there for the summer again.
Okay. All right. I was curious about the
That's fine.
disruption
That's
to
understandable. Sometimes Tim
understanding
gets
it.
off on
Okay.
tangents and I understand that.
All right.
Thank
And then
you for-
the second question I had was, you put in your report multiple gas leaks.
Mhm. They're small.
Does that mean
What it does,
2,
it picks up-
16? What does that mean?
It picks up, I think I had a total of 12 gas leaks off memory. I can go back to my phone and check. I had Paxton go around and check every single joint that we had, follow every single gas line through the district. A few years ago, we had one where a pressure regulator basically failed over at middle school in some leaks, but basically, Terry, it's where you got some thread with a pipe and couplings and it goes into there. So basically you have the pipe open there. Does that dry out? Expansion, contraction, you get a leak. And then when I say a leak, usually it picks up like maybe an eighth of an ounce per year, but that meter picks it up, right? And that's the
That was
purpose
my
of that
question.
meter.
So
is to
there is
actually get it
something
way
that's
ahead of time.
indicating when
Yes.
the numbers are high enough that it would pose any kind of risk.
That is correct. We got a little LED indicator that rises. When it really starts making a lot of noise, it's a little more of a leak. So
Okay.
Basically, we check that every year over the summer. So when we start rolling kids in here for everything, and after what happened over at Sun Prairie and everything else, I take it very seriously. Just like when I said I kicked the meeting off, I care about the safety and well-being of the students and the staff.
Okay. And we do that annually?
Yes.
Check all the gas
Yes,
lines?
that is
Okay,
correct.
so this problem was
That's
not
right. Nope,
there.
last year. That is
Last year.
correct. I
Okay.
had some repaired prior to that over there, so that
Okay.
is correct.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is going to be our IT report. Ms. Peppel.
Let's see if we got a click. Hey, the clicker works fine. All right. All right, so I turned the TV here so you all can see it. Staying over here so I can see it just a little bit, so you guys can see it. There we go. All right, here. So start out with my IT meeting the same way. I'm gonna kind of skip over some slides, just kind of goes over who I am, who we are. Nothing's changed since my last board meeting. All of our responsibilities, as you can see, there's more every year that gets added to that. So every summer we do a technology refresh. All these items were approved during the board, my last board meeting for my budget. So yearly hardware purchases every year, 5th and 9th grade Chromebooks. This year it was East 2nd through 4th grade Chromebooks. Next year will be Sullivan. And West was last year. So elementary can go 5 years because they stay in the classrooms. So they don't get the wear and tear. And the elementary kids are just a whole lot nicer to these Chromebooks than the middle school and high school kids. We also do 20 dock stations a year. So these are the little boxes that everyone connects their laptops to. These things are starting to become problematic and they seem to be going bad. They're like computers. We have people actually have to unplug them, plug them in like a to get them to work. So we're trying to do every 8-year life cycle on them. Wireless access point, this is something I wanted to get done. Unfortunately, due to the E-rate, issues with E-rate, it didn't, normally it gets approved in April. It didn't get approved till mid-July this year. So we weren't sure if we would get funding or not. It was all approved. Actually, our next funding cycle for the next 5 years has actually been approved too. But we didn't get them in time, and by the time they arrived, we had to focus on getting all the classrooms back together. So winter break, we're going to do Sullivan. Spring break, we'll do another building, and the rest will finish in June. We just have to have this project completed by June 30th in order to meet all the funding requirements. Interactive TVs, this is a 75-inch right here. These we also had shipping issues as well. They didn't arrive until mid-July. So we only were able to get, I think, 10 rooms done at the middle school. We've got another 3 or 4 that are actually going to be done Thursday and Fridays with in-service, and then Friday. We have all day that we can work, and we're just slowly going to be working with teachers throughout this school year to get them all in place. Pretty much it takes 3 days to do it because we start at 3 o'clock. It takes 2 days roughly of cabling and 1 day to just quick rip down the smartboard projector and put the TV up. TVs are a little tricky. These are 110 pounds. So we do have to make sure they are secured to the walls. And then current projects, cybersecurity, this is always an ongoing thing. You know, as you see in the news with all the issues, stuff like that. So it's always something on our mind, and we're always trying to keep up to date on everything. Other projects, we've been working on automation a lot, just trying to make the onboarding process and offboarding process streamlined. So really everything's in what we have a source of truth with PowerSchool. So if I change something in PowerSchool, it floods across through everything. So this is really streamlined the process and making sure everyone gets access to everything that they need right away, and it sends out emails right away. So that way you know what you have access to even before you start, you arrive here on the first day for teaching. PA system, you can actually see one of the clocks over there. That's what we've been installing in all the classrooms. They actually, when a bell goes off, they say bell. When we have a medical hold, they will actually say medical. We do a building lockdown, they would say building. And then they're all color coded to match our crisis plan. So they've got a lot of features. We've got tornadoes, warnings, or I always get warnings and watch mixed up. I believe warning is, it will actually automate the whole district. So it doesn't matter when it is. These things will kick off the middle of the night or during a basketball game. If there's a tornado, these are going to go off for safety, even during the school day. So we're working on that. We're going to test out some on Thursday. And then monthly updates. I'm actually doing them right now on my computer as we're working on this. And then I talked about BenQ's going on. We're rolling out a network management server. We have a few critical programs that don't tell us when we go down. So we just need to kind of send them heartbeats, say, hey, are you still up? And then the same with logging. We want to kind of have centralized logging so we can, something happens, we know where everything is. And it's all in one place instead of searching through everything. Summer projects. So this is just kind of the miscellaneous since I talked about the refresh. We didn't really get to do a lot. Some of this is every year stuff. You know, we deploy technology for summer school. We move the Chromebooks to different grade levels. We have to reconnect all the technology because maintenance takes it out to clean all the floors. So we got to plug the technology back in. We test the PA system, make sure everything working there. I call 911 from every building. I call to make sure that is that working properly. And then I test our backups as well. And something we did this summer too is we even tested the generator backups at the high school, which is always nerve-wracking with all my equipment, but we tested that as well. And then onboarding, offboarding, and then just deploying our replacement devices. And then classroom technology, this really hasn't changed for the last couple of years. Our office staff has Windows desktop computers, Certifies has Windows laptops, paraprofessionals have Chromebooks, food service, maintenance departments have shared Chromebooks, and then our students are right here. 4K has iPads, kindergarten and first grade are one-to-one touchscreen, second through fourth grade or fifth grade are one-to-one, and really is sixth through high school are all one-to-one. Any questions?
Questions from the board?
Yeah. So I don't want to use the hit by the bus scenario because it's too morbid. But let's say the whole IT team is touring a cave and has no reception. Who is the third party that comes in to assist? Say something disastrous happens on-prem.
We have a few vendors that we work with. None of them know our system very well because we have one vendor works with for Aruba wireless. We have a Aruba vendor. We have a vendor for our firewall. So we're kind of spread out, different vendors, know different parts. But we do have all of our passwords are actually backed up in the district office vault.
So there's no third party that kind of is that can come in and actually just kind of keep things going because it's pieced together right now.
We do it. Yeah, we've done everything in-house. We're lucky enough between the three of us that we're able to do almost everything in-house. And then once in a while, when we deploy new technology, that's when we bring in someone.
Right.
And then we do audits. We have a vendor come in and say, hey, how does this look? Every 4 years, I have a Google vendor come in and they audit everything because last thing I want is we have confidential information that could be leaked, stuff like that. And I came from a bank, so and audits are kind of something I was used to, and I kind of like that. Just a confirmation of, hey, you're doing things the right way here, or you missed something. We need to fix this.
So my only concern is we carry cyber liability, is my understanding. So
Yes.
one of the big things is disaster recovery plan, kind of having those roles spelled out as part of that.
Yeah.
A third party audit, penetration testing, that kind of stuff. I know you worked with the college on that a little bit, but just getting, I come from that world too, where you're the only person when there should be 10 of you, right?
Yeah.
And so some of that stuff falls through the cracks, but the problem kind of becomes is, what happens when things are going really poorly, right? Like, and so, you know, I just want to make sure that we're kind of filling in those cracks with kind of getting more of a continuity plan to just even have a living document that kind of ties all together. I mean, I know passwords are good, but maybe just having a third party like on standby that just says, hey, you know, we don't do this every day with your network, but here's a network map, here's, you know what I mean? So they can kind of jump into action a little quicker should they have to.
Yeah, in the past, we've bought blocks of hours before. So if I know I'm doing a big project, I don't like to always say, okay, we're doing this project for this, give me a block of hours. Because if the project, you know, we can get the project done sooner, then there's all those hours that really we didn't get the benefit from. You know, there is downfall. If it takes longer, then we do actually pay more. But a lot of times it benefits us. So I always buy blocks of hours when that's the case. Yep.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
I was just curious, is there a difference in the practices of the TV versus the projectors besides cost savings? I mean, are the teachers able to do everything that they were able to do, or did they lose some capabilities or gain some?
So the TVs, they're widescreen, so we did lose a little bit of height on them. So versus the smart boards were square. You know, everything now, your laptops, everything is widescreen. So we lost a little bit there. The nice thing is you can connect, like we have a laptop connected here. So really you have all the features you'd have with the smart board. You can do everything. You can run smart notebook. There's really nothing changes there. The benefit is if you wanted to, you don't want to connect any devices. These here are really glorified Android tablets. So you don't need, you could be doing one thing on here, another thing on your laptop, or maybe not even log into your laptop. There's a NFC card here. You swipe, you log in, and it brings up all your Chrome stuff. So it's really cool. A lot of benefits. Certain things we have to block with this because we block Gmail. So you can't just walk up if a teacher leaves it, Power School, stuff like that. We ended up blocking. That was actually found during our UW audit. Because we only had them at the elementary level. We didn't think about that. And they brought that up, that they were able to swipe in with single sign-on because the teacher left their card right there.
Oh, okay.
So we've learned to block certain sites. So you do have to use your laptop because you don't want taking attendance on here and seeing all the students' data, stuff like that.
Did you say you're doing wall mount for most of them, or are you?
So it's up to the teacher. Some like carts. A lot of them are wall mounted. Here at elementary, we had issues in the original building with behind the walls are clay tiles, and we couldn't mount any of them. So we did have a few rooms that have limitations, really just east. The rest of them, if they were drywall, what we do is we made sure we hit 3 studs. We'd put, you know, plywood behind it, and then we'd mount onto the plywood, just because of, you know, they are 110 pounds. And Miles has a couple 85 inches that are 155 pounds. So this room here will be getting an 85 for presentations, stuff like that.
Well, notice we haven't been receiving those cybersecurity emails anymore. Did we change vendors? Did we graduate from that?
You should be receiving them.
We should be?
Yep. Once in a while, they get caught in the web filter, and I got to change a few settings. If too many people report, the domain kind of gets blocked, and I got to fix it.
I'll try that at work sometime.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. Next up, under our reports, already to the superintendent report.
To start out by saying that I got a gold star for catching a fishing. It was a fake one. So just the other week. So I want to thank everyone for being here, and I think the night went well with the open house. So I'm very appreciative for all the support we had for that leading up to tonight. Tonight's report, my report tonight, I want to talk about what we're going to do on Thursday. So Thursday is a professional learning day. And we have a very comprehensive crisis response plan in the school district of Jefferson. Gets reviewed and approved by the school board every year. One of the things that we have not practiced to the point where we want to is a reunification plan. So this Thursday, during our professional development day, it's only part of the day, but it's a very important part. We'll have all staff here, paraprofessionals, custodians, teachers, administrators, et cetera. And we'll have all of the buildings work on the reunification plan. We practiced this and we've with I Love You Guys over the summer. We did a walkthrough and then we prepared the report or the presentation for this Thursday, and all the principals then are going to take it to their buildings and then make it specific to their buildings. One of the things that we're practicing is a drive-up reunification plan. We do have a reunification site that would be off-site, but one of the things that we've learned with reunification is most of the time it would take place in the building. Maybe it was to use that gas leak scenario. Maybe it's a gas leak on the other side of town, and we would need parents to come and actually get their kids and to show proof that they are picking up whom they are supposed to pick up. So we're doing all that practice on Thursday. I want to thank the principals for leading that. All of the central office staff will be out in the building supporting that work on Thursday. So kudos to that. You can click on the reunification video. We're also partnering with I Love You Guys to have a reunification video to show to students and parents so they understand. And then we also have a standard response protocol video that we'll be able to, in the future, share with students and parents as well so they know our procedures. I Love You Guys is a nonprofit. It's been around for a long time. It was started by a family that suffered a tragedy. Their daughter was killed in a school shooting, and it's a great organization to partner with. So I want to thank Ms. Neeson for her work with that. And the videos, you can check them out. We're just starting to do that. One other thing I wanted to mention about Thursday's practice is we use Informacast for a emergency system. So we'll be testing that system as well. And Jason helped set that up. We'll do our live test on Thursday, in which I'll be able to hit a button on my phone with the app, and then a message, a pre-recorded message will go out to all of our staff members so they understand that it's a test of that system. And then it'll get forced text will go to their personal devices to test that.
You all will receive it as well.
You will receive it as well. So approximately 9:30 on Thursday. If you don't receive it, then there's an issue. So we'll want to make sure you get your information correct. If you receive the WASB October policy perspectives, you notice that article talked about 13 myths about Robert's Rules of Order. The first thing I want to say is we do a great job with that. So we follow the small board portion of Robert's Rules. It's an 1,100-page document with all the parliamentary authority in there. We just follow the part that has to do with small boards. But it's an interesting read if you want to take a look at that. We do have some cheat codes and some cheat sheets for you to use as far as what to do with motions. But to repeat, I appreciate everyone following those procedures because they are aligned with our school board policy 0161, which has us use Robert's Rules as our parliamentary authority and our procedures and routines. And last but not least tonight, the Fall Legislative Conference. If you're interested in going to that, I copied some information there from the WASB. See me or see Valerie if you're interested in attending. It's Saturday, November 8th in Stevens Point. Offers an opportunity to gain insight into the future of public education and hear from experts. And then the last call for the 2026 state convention, we will sign up for that soon. I know Valerie's asked for people's preference whether they're going or not. We'll do that right away to try to get good accommodations and hotels for the people who want to attend. That's my report.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the board? All right. Then we have our first reading of updates within the district library plan.
So, district library.
It's, sorry, mic's not on.
I say red button. Red button.
Hold it.
Yeah, it's kind of pushed in up. Like,
There
you go.
Check, check, okay. Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good. So the district library plan stays relatively static from year to year, outside of a few new goals and initiatives. But ultimately, we stay within the future ready framework, which is that pie that you see on the webpage, to guide any of our changes and decisions. So I will just hit on the big changes that we made in the last calendar year and what we're looking to do going forward. So as far as budgeting and resources, this year we invested in, well, end of last year, we invested in a number of 3D printers to add to the middle school as a new makerspace area. We also have a couple that are going to be making their way to the elementary building so we can work with the elementary kids and get them working 3D printers as well. And the idea behind it is so that kids get the same experience, the same devices between that elementary level through high school. So the high school tech ed department and I worked together to pick out what devices we were going to go with. We're all using the same software to do our 3D modeling. We're all using the same slicing software to then create our 3D model or to make our 3D prints. So it's just the idea is so we have a little more interest, especially at the high school level, for our students to come into tech ed and try that 3D modeling sooner. And I can't tell you, Mr. Rux has told me a number of times that he gets kids that come in as a senior, they take the class and they're upset they didn't know about it sooner, that they didn't know how fun it was and how exciting that field is. So we kind of work together, and that's where 3D printing came from around here. As far as community partnerships, I've been in contact with the public library on and off all year. That's been one of my goals since I got here, is to kind of work on the community end of things. So the public library is now doing Battle of the Books with us. So they made the books available in the summertime where we weren't in session. And then they had the lists available for kids, just so our kids could get a jump on the program. And we added having the library come in to do library cards at all 3 elementary buildings, along with they're doing a posting for a page position at the high school and at the middle school. So we're just trying to make sure we have a little outreach between those two library programs. Under collaborative leadership, we've added this year our new reading program, which is Benchmark. So in the libraries, we've added a number of materials to coincide with our Benchmark reading program, so that the material is more readily accessible by our elementary teachers. It's also available on one of the programs that we purchase electronically. So it's been a pretty good investment so far. And the last section it circles back to curricular and instruction assessment, which is 3D printing one more time. And it's because it hits both pies, we have to put them both in. So like I said, it is a district-wide initiative. So far, I think it's awesome. I've had so many kids come up to me at the middle school and say, "Hey, Mr. Alley, when can we have access to the printers do we want?" So it's been a lot of fun so far. And right now they're using it in the art class, but they're also going to be using it as part of tech ed too. So, and we're looking at adding it just for one session of my STEM club as time allows. And that's it for major changes to the library plan. Do you have any questions for me?
So for the software, do they just kind of start with like Tinkercad and Blender and work their way up, or?
We actually, at all levels, we're only using Tinkercad.
Only Tinkercad.
And then we use Bamboo Studio
slicing
for the slicing. But at the middle school level, we've already been talking about the fact that some things are easier to do within Bamboo software specifically like adding text to something that already exists. So we're kind of playing that as it goes. So they're learning both on both platforms.
Now, is there like curriculum wise, do they do like, are you doing like design challenges and stuff like that? Or how many reticulated 3D dragons can you print before you?
Yeah. The goal, well, obviously we don't want to be printing constantly from Thingiverse. We want our kids to do actual design. So the first project that the middle school art class did was a balloon powered car. So they had to print the various parts to it. I know at the Mr. Ruck's level, he and I just met about a week and a half ago. They make just a uniquely shaped object, and students have to replicate that object. So measure it all out, get it to the right specifications. And I think he's going to work on doing the add-on to that, which is why not make it so you can make the inverse of it so they pair together. So you take your unique object and you have another piece, so they make a rectangle or a square together. So I mean that's where we start. And I mean once kids get into it, they just run with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean I know my own kids at home. I have a small 3D printer that they're always asking to do something different.
Mm-hmm.
Just one question on that. So even at the high levels of the STEM in the high school, like in the shop classes or where they do design, they're still only using Tinkercad?
As far as I know, that's what Mr. Rux uses, yes. We haven't talked about and actually, Jason, I'm going to lean on you. Is he using anything else other than Tinkercad? Does he have other CAD software that we're?
I mean, we have the Autodesk software.
I think. And I think the majority of students are doing Tinkercad, but Tinkercad's gotten more complex in recent times. I mean,
It has, but it's really not an industrial software. I mean, it's really not skills you can port into industry. I mean, industry's moved. Pro engineering is really the big one. Onshape is a good offer, but they really. I've used both, and Tinkercad is good for starting, but it doesn't offer good 3D modeling that you would actually go into industry with. I guess I'm kind of understand it at the middle school and maybe early high school level and grade school, but I guess at the more advanced high school levels, I think they should be moving on to other tools. I guess I'll have to look into that more, but.
And I would actually wonder what the cost of those programs are.
AutoCAD for education is free.
Okay.
And they do 3D modeling in AutoCAD. I mean, that's all included. So as long as it's tied to the school's domain, there's no cost.
Okay.
And then Blender is free as well. If you're kind of doing that transition from elementary and middle to early on, Blender is another one that just kind of slides you into more professional modeling as well.
And then, well, the other problem is we have to worry about computers that can manage the software.
Yeah.
Which I've run into issues with my own school laptop, even managing Bamboo software, it will crash out.
There is a few packages now. I've even tried it on my Chromebook. Onshape is one, and I forget the other name, and they are actually used in industry. It depends on the size of the company, probably smaller companies, but they do correlate into the bigger professional packages like CATIA and things that like Milwaukee Tool and Harley Davidson and large companies that do a lot of 3D modeling would use. Yeah, I guess it's maybe a bit of a gap because you can't really port Tinkercad modeling into those professional tools. I mean, there's a big gap there of the way you create those models. And a lot of those packages do have free educational discounts, or because they want to get you hooked so that you take those skills into industry and then force your employers to buy those tools. I mean, AutoCAD's been doing that for probably 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, just kind of a question, because I hear Tinkercad and I'm like, kind of basic. I mean, it works, but it's pretty basic.
Agreed.
Any other questions from the board? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Finance and operations topics, gonna be our 25-26 levy information and budget adjustments. Mr. Bant.
Check. All righty. Good evening again. So 2 weeks after presenting just our kind of finalization of funnel, we are here. So after the October 15th update from the Department of Public Instruction, this meeting and action and update is really the culmination, as I mentioned in my memo, just of all the work that's gone since early December, January, just as we've been preparing the budget for this year. Key updates, and I did try and kind of articulate them and kind of the impact that they've had just to make sure that it's really clear some of those pieces that have come through. The biggest update from 2 weeks ago, so Monday the 13th to when DPI releases October 15th, is probably the biggest change in this is the amount just that our private school partner vouchers for the Wisconsin Parental Choice Program and Special Needs Scholarship Program increased. As it turns out, that is one that we can't control. We can model and bear it, and we can try and anticipate. Last year, I overshot it, which is a good thing because then it's less that we have to levy for our private school partners. This year, it came in significantly higher. It was actually a little bit of a shock, I think, when Dr. Ernest and I were looking at those numbers. So it does increase that total levy as we are the fiscal authority the fiscal agent that is responsible for levying on behalf of our partners. But that was about $200,000 more than what we had anticipated. So that adds about 12 cents to our levy overall from what I presented to you 2 weeks ago. In order to try and counter that a little bit, I went back to look at our Fund 39, our debt payments, and what we could use in fund balance to under levy to try and reduce our taxes as much as we could. It's $43,000 more change that you would see in that Fund 39 levy, but it's $43,000 we're not going to levy then. So really, you know, we're in a situation, and where this culminates is at the bottom of that first page. We're in a position where the school district has about $500,000 of increased revenue authority, but the biggest shift this year in this biennium has been the change from state funded to more locally funded. So that about 1.1 million, 1,090,000 is the shift from what the state had funded us from last fiscal year to this fiscal year. And because it's a inverse relationship, right? If the state funding goes down for school districts, that means that the local levy picks that up. So Dr. Ernest and I are working to try and reduce the tools and the levers that we can turn to reduce the levy. But this is one that we couldn't control, and that we are just finding ourselves wanting to make sure that we navigate appropriately as we do continue to plan for the future. So that represents just that proposed tax of just over 16 million then for this next year, and is detailed in that revenue limit worksheet. So again, there's a few changes, a little bit more state aid. So I had maybe been a little bit more conservative, and we had a little bit more state aid, which reduces the levy. A few other tweaks within that as those final numbers come in from DPI, but that would have probably been the biggest change from what I had presented 2 weeks ago to you all. And so just wanting to, again, just, you know, kind of articulate that big change is not directly money that necessarily the school district gains entirely. We do have increased revenue authority, but it has been a transition from state to locally funded. Other than that, the other big purpose of tonight's meeting, besides adopting with board approval the levy for this year to abide by the timeframes, is just the final budget adjustments. And so what you'll see is addendum A to this memo. I just brought back, based on that DPI format, they roll it up to, in governmental accounting, the 2-digit function detail. The primary changes are all the pieces that I just would have detailed, everything from vouchers to taxes to open enrollment. But the other big one is, as we had finalized our health insurance renewal, right, and applying that renewal to every single person's accounts and breakdown, I just wanted to bring back that finalized adjustment. So you're going to see a bunch of detail of each one of those and how they may shift or change. But again, that does represent still about a $5,000 surplus, quote unquote, more or less balanced budget for this 25-26 year. And so bringing this to you tonight for your consideration and approval, and happy to answer any questions that you may have regarding the updates in the past 2 weeks.
Questions from the board?
I only had one question. Under the second paragraph, I'm looking at the memo, I believe,
Sure,
is the title, Final Adjustments.
Yep.
You have the second paragraph here, impact of private school vouchers on levy and mill rate.
Yeah.
It does mention that something is listed. The last sentence of that second paragraph says this amount is included under the School District of Jefferson line item on district tax bills.
Yes.
Can you just clarify what is on the tax
Yes,
bill?
yeah, I apologize. I probably should have said it maybe a little bit differently. So this is included, so it won't be that 1.1 million between the two voucher programs. That is included on our line item. And so while it is not broken out, there are some municipalities, I know Green Bay is one that has kind of toyed with that. It's just one of their municipalities that has toyed separating that on the tax bill.
But we don't currently in
We
the
do
city
not-
of Jefferson, I don't
Correct.
believe.
No municipality does. That's really,
Okay.
there's been some legislative push, I guess, to try and increase that transparency, because this is a $1.1 million expense item that we levy on behalf of our partners, but it comes on the tax bill as School District of Jefferson taxes.
It looks like it's coming to the public school.
Correct, yeah.
On
And
the
so,
tax bill.
as I mentioned, we really from the state don't get a lot of information regarding participation in some of those programs. When we do, it comes on October 15th. Typically, that's when it all does. I did pull just a couple numbers because it's something that I'm interested in. So it's percentages based off our resident head count, because not all of our residents may attend School District Jefferson, right? They may attend everywhere or multiple places, but it's about 6% of our resident head count participate in some sort of voucher programming. So it's about 97 full-time equivalent students out of our 1583 for the last general aid year. So we're not hitting that you might have heard in news storylines that the voucher limits are going away this year. I believe it's 10% of your total aid limit. We're not at that point. There are some districts and some districts that have much higher percentages, but it grew from under 5% now to over 6%. So part of that is we're experiencing declining enrollment here in the district. This portion of our community is not necessarily. And so just keeping our tabs on that and making sure that we understand that moving pieces become really and increasingly more important.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for the clarification.
And then Terry, to answer the question about the line item, and he had said Green Bay, that was the topic of conversation that came up at the Policy and Resolutions Committee with decoupling and whether WASB is going to support or not. Could be very interesting because there might be two proposals, both of them opposing each other, coming to the delegate floor. So they are going to be doing some type of class through the WASB on decoupling, what that all means. And that's one of the ways they're trying to get around the decoupling is by having it put on the tax bills.
Any other questions from the board? All right, with that, is there a motion to approve the 2025-26 tax levy and budget adjustment as presented?
So moved.
Second.
With a motion and a second, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Future agenda topics. Does anybody have any suggestions or requests for future agenda topics for the board?
I do. Coming into the end of October is Bully Awareness Month. With last year's Bully Task Force, I am just curious on some of the areas that were weakness that we identified, the progress on that, as well as some of the strengths of the good ideas that came out, just to see how and where we are in the district on that issue.
We'd be happy to add that to November 10th.
Awesome, thank you.
I also have a question regarding absenteeism based on the fact that we had that workshop. Is it possible to be able to be informed of those numbers at least twice in a school year, like closer to the beginning and then closer to the end, just to kind of see what the progress, where we're at, kind of keeping our eye on it?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of, when would be the right time, but yeah, I certainly can speak with, Ms. Neeson about that and.
We haven't had a presentation yet this year, right? Because it's so new. Okay.
Perhaps semester 1, semester 2. Any other topics from the board? In that case, we get into announcements. Just a reminder for everyone, we did cancel the November 24th board meeting, so November 10th and December 10th will be heavy calendars, but yeah, other than that, Dr. Ernest.
That was my reminder.
All right.
There we go. Thanks again for tonight.
And with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay.